G'day folks, this is Dragon. Just doing a series on wild foods that are quite often found around homesteads and sometimes in the bush too. This is what they call a Cape gooseberry. Now, it's not native to Australia. It's an introduced what they call wild food. So originally these were introduced into Australia at some time or another, probably back in the early days of pioneering, around about 120 years in this area, and grown in gardens by European settlement. So they're quite easy to cultivate. These are just growing wild alongside the road, and the reason for that is probably that the birds get into them and drop the seeds in their droppings, and away they go, wild in the bush. Now this is different as opposed to native Australian bush food, or bush tucker, and it puts a new spin on survival food. Whether you cultivate or find it in the bush, it's sometimes much easier to identify what they call wild food in the bush, that being the introduced species into a country that's just gone feral in the bush, as opposed to the native Australian plants that maybe be a little bit harder to identify to eat safely. So I'm down here with a friend, Lynn, lives in a homestead just down the mountain from me, and these have been fruiting quite prolifically. They've had a bit of frost down here, it's hit them a bit hard, but the last week or so they picked quite a lot of them. And what Lynn has done is, if you can just see there, she's preserved the whole fruit. That's the colour of the fruit when it's ripe, in a preserving jar. Just like that. And she's also made a jam out of it as well. These were just wet dip, weren't they? They weren't done in the pressure cooker?
No.
Okay, yep. So, and of course these can be juiced down to make a good juice too.
That's a good colour.
This is the good colour. That's what they're like when they're ripe. I'll just taste that one, Lynn, and
yeah, go for it.
See if I can give the viewers a bit of an idea.
Here's another wild, natural.
And from a distance, they look like a bit of a small tomato, don't they?
I think they're called something tomato, a Cape tomato. And they are part of the tomato family, I think.
Well, the small seeds in there, it looks like a tomato, doesn't it? Small seeds in there.
Yep.
They've got tomato-like seeds in them, and it's not an unpleasant taste. A little bit on the tangy side, which doesn't worry me. I don't particularly like sweet stuff, but it's quite palatable. It's not something that you want to spit out straight away, and they taste quite good actually. And they grow with this type of I've forgotten the word for it. What's this covering they call for it, Lynn?
Calyx.
Calyx. That's a green one there. It's not quite ripe yet, but the calyx grows over it. And here's one that hasn't been hit by the frost. It's quite young, that one.
It's best harvested when it drops off the vine.
Yeah, just to pick them off the ground. You've got to be quick too, haven't you, with the birds and the predators get into them. So this is what the leaf looks like to help you with identification.
And the stem.
And the stem. That's the colour of the stem there. There is a native Australian one which has a much darker stem. Now, we're not quite sure if they're edible or if they need processing to make them safer to eat. But that's the leaf. That's the underside of the leaf. As you can see there, it's quite dull, and Yeah, it's got, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, a little bit of furry stuff on the underside of the leaf. It's quite a type of leaf that's got a lot of moisture in it, quite thick leaf actually, and that's the top side of it there. And this is about, it grows in bushes like this. It doesn't grow into tall trees and that sort of thing. It's more like a creeper type thing. So that's the Cape gooseberry, and it's fairly typical of some of the wild foods you find that were introduced by early homesteaders. Up my way, we've actually got stone fruit growing alongside the road and growing wild in the bush. Stone fruit like peaches, plums, apricots, that sort of thing, where the birds pick up the seeds, or the predators pick up the seeds, and comes out in their droppings, and under the right conditions they just sprout. So that's another spin on wild food in the bush. Around this homestead, these can be cultivated. They were in Europe, and I think they grow wild in Europe too. So that gives you some idea. There's quite a lot of it growing around here. But when they ripen, you've got to get in quick to get them, because the birds and other predators like to get into the fruit, and that's pretty much how it's spread wild through the bush here.
Plus it self-propagates.
And it self-propagates, yeah, yep. Lynn, what colour are the flowers on these? Again, we're looking at,
I think from memory white.
White flowers, yep. Okay. These plants are thriving here.
Yeah, they're right throughout.
Yeah. It's all semi-rainforest down here. It's yeah. Okay. Okay, Lynn's just noticed something else down here, and I remember these back when I was a kid, when I was living in North Queensland. Native passion fruit. Now, it's if you know the commercial passion fruit, the leaf shape is roughly the same, and we've got the little flowers on there that looks like they may have set with fruit. Your typical creepers here, so they grab onto stuff to help them grow.
The difference in the leaves is the commercial ones are shiny and hard. These are soft and furry.
These fruit are quite edible when they ripen. They can be anything from a shade of green to yellow. I remember eating these as a kid when I was up in Townsville, but in the schoolyard actually. Didn't take our lunch to school, we ate the passion fruit, wild passion fruit. So that's another one, and these can probably be cultivated.
They just grow wild all over here.
Yeah.
They're just
self-propagating. Yeah. I dare say if you want to cultivate them,
you could.
You could. The fruit on these are much smaller than the conventional passion fruit you see in the fruit shops and that sort of thing. I think I remember the ones in Townsville were only about the size of a marble or something like that, a little bit bigger. Quite tasty too.
Get about that big.
About. Oh yeah, okay. They weren't that big up north.
No, they get about that big here.
Alrighty.
There might be one over there.
So a homesteading situation, it's amazing what you can find growing wild around the place. Some of it, as I said, are introduced plants, and some of them are native too, which if you want to probably improve the cropping on them and the quality of them, you could probably cultivate them yourselves. Okay,